Welcome back. Hurricane Elsa affected households as a result of high winds and heavy rain on Friday, the 2nd of July. During and after such disasters, Red Cross St. Lucia makes it their duty to ensure the safety of St. Lucians, providing essential equipment and items to those mostly affected. The president of Red Cross St. Lucia says this time around, operations were fairly easy.
Red Cross St. Lucia, the premier volunteer network on island concerned with health and disaster risk management, was put to task after the island faced its first hurricane of the season on Friday, July 2nd. Hurricane Elsa caught many by surprise as it was originally categorized as a storm. What manifested, however, was a Category 1 hurricane with winds with gusts of up to 95 miles per hour. President of Red Cross St. Lucia, Hubert Pierre, speaks to the operations during the aftermath of the hurricane.
We treat this as an emergency because it is not a huge impact to the household crop. It is a simple one, really. We went through ancillary. We worked in Jacmel, Vanna, Millet, Bexon also, and we did some work in Babono. So we are actually waiting for some more information from specific areas which we understood. Because there were live wires on the ground, I told the volunteers don't venture there because it wasn't safe. But everything went to plan. We responded as we normally would in every given situation. And I must say that it was really, really easy for us in that regard. It wasn't anything tremendous that would have overwhelmed everybody.
Pierre further notes that the reports were of minimal damage and the situations were fairly easy to handle.
After the storm, we have had no persons actually walk into us, that type of thing, except for an individual who say, hey, my roof has gone and I need a tap. Do you have one? And that's what it is. It's not a matter of we would have food lines, broken homes, and the rest that we normally see. No, that's not in existence now at all. As a matter of fact, all morning I've been here and I don't think anybody has reported to our doorstep for anything. So I think it's more or less covered.
Pierre says St. Lucia has much to be thankful for, since the situation could have been far worse. He urges continued vigilance throughout the hurricane season. For the Hot 7 Nightly News, I am Karim Nelson.
The Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries, Physical Planning, Natural Resources and Cooperatives has put in place a plan to deal with the damage caused by Hurricane Elsa in the agricultural sector.
The Department of Agriculture, Fisheries, Natural Resources and Cooperatives conducted an initial assessment on the impact of Hurricane Elsa. The assessment looked at damages on the various extension and advisory services, including the Fisheries Department, Livestock Division and Crop Extension Division. According to Permanent Secretary of the Department of Agriculture, Fisheries, Natural Resources and Cooperatives, Barrymore Felicier, losses totaled more than $34 million, with banana and plantain farmers suffering the most, with reported losses of 80% or more of their farms.
We're looking in the region of 2,400 acres to 2,800 acres affected, and over 600 farmers affected by that in that sector. We also saw, to a certain extent, fruit trees, root crops, vegetables were also affected in the crop extension area. In terms of fisheries, we saw that there were some damaged vessels by the Dennery area, minimal losses though. We also saw CMOS farmers in the areas of Poile became affected, they had line losses of CMOS. In the area of livestock division, we saw about 70% damage to sheds, animal sheds. We saw some mortalities in terms of swine, poultry in the livestock sector. So these areas have been affected. In terms of forestry, we saw some slides in the forest reserve. Also, you would have noticed that there would have been some fallen trees and some damaged trees in that area.
Mr. Felicier reiterates the Department of Agriculture's commitment to assisting farmers. He notes that the Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries, Physical Planning, Natural Resources and Cooperatives is currently working on a support package for farmers.
We are here today trying to finalize that support package, and it will be communicated to the executive, to the Cabinet of Ministers for their deliberation and for their final approval. So once that is received, then we will communicate to our stakeholders what that support will be and in what form it will take.
Farmers are advised to report their losses to their respective extension divisions. The extension facilities are located in Babono, Bexor, Marigot, Soufrière, Vieux Fort, Auger and Richfort. From the Communications Unit of the Ministry of Agriculture, I am Anicia Antoine reporting.
British Prime Minister Boris Johnson has announced that he will be ending the legal obligation to wear a mask on public transport, as well as legal restrictions on indoor and outdoor gatherings, including nightclubs and concerts, come the 19th of July.
Again, without preempting the decision on the 12th of July, let me set out today our 5-point plan for living with COVID, in the hope that it will give families and businesses time to prepare. First, we will reinforce our vaccine wall, reducing the dose interval for under 40s from 12 weeks to 8, so that everyone over 18 should be double jabbed by the middle of September, in addition to our autumn programme of booster vaccines for the most vulnerable. Second, we will change the basic tools that we have used to control human behaviour. We'll move away from legal restrictions and allow people to make their own informed decisions about how to manage the virus. From step 4, we will remove all legal limits on the numbers meeting indoors and outdoors. We will allow all businesses to reopen, including nightclubs. We will lift the limit on named visitors to care homes and on numbers of people attending concerts, theatre and sports events. We will end the 1 metre plus rule on social distancing and the legal obligation to wear a face covering, although guidance will suggest where you might choose to do so, especially when cases are rising and where you come into contact with people you don't normally meet in enclosed spaces, such as obviously crowded public transport. It will no longer be necessary for government to instruct people to work from home, so employers will be able to start planning a safe return to the workplace. There will be no COVID certificate required as a condition of entry to any venue or event, although businesses and events can certainly make use of certification, and the NHS app gives you a COVID pass as one way to show your COVID status. Third, we will continue from step 4 to manage the virus with a test, trace and isolate system that is proportionate to the pandemic. You will have to self-isolate if you test positive or are told to do so by NHS Test and Trace. But we're looking to move to a different regime for fully vaccinated contacts of those testing positive, and also for children. And tomorrow, the Education Secretary will announce our plans to maintain key protections, but remove bubbles and contact isolation for pupils. Fourth, from step 4, we will maintain our tough border controls, including the red list, and recognising the protection afforded by 2 doses of vaccine, we will work with the travel industry towards removing the need for fully vaccinated arrivals to isolate on return from an amber country, and the Transport Secretary will provide a further update later this week. Last, we will continue to monitor the data and retain contingency measures to help manage the virus during higher risk periods such as the winter. But we will place an emphasis on strengthened guidance and do everything possible to avoid reimposing restrictions with all the costs that they bring.
That was UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson. A landmark meeting between top executives of American Airlines and Sandals Resorts International took place at the American Airlines headquarters in Dallas, Texas on the 27th of June, and comes at a time when the regional tourism and hospitality sector, along with several CARICOM governments, are working hard to restore airlift to the Caribbean after the fallout from the COVID-19 pandemic. The discussions revolved around growth, the expansion of air service, how American Airlines can provide more flights to the Caribbean, and how they can strengthen their efforts in the region. The executive chairman of Sandals Resorts International, Adam Stewart, said this is part of Sandals' ongoing efforts to help drive the recovery of the regional tourism sector. Sandals was commended for taking the initiative to go out and do what is needed to drive the recovery of tourism. This is the first time American Airlines, one of the world's largest airline companies, has hosted a Caribbean hotel company for such a meeting. Stewart went on to thank AA for the incredible support it had already provided thus far in helping to support recovery efforts. As they left the meeting, the Sandals executive chairman assured that there is much to look forward to. This is the Hot 7 TV Nightly News. More news after the break.